This is soft tissue work for the lower back, upper back, pecs and lats. So we're going to start off lower back. We're going to split it up between your spine left and right. So what I want you to think of is a rectangle from the top of your hip all the way up to mid your rib cage, and then keep it to the left hand side of your spine starting off, okay? So we're tilted slightly over to the left, we're on top of the hip bone, and all we want to do is relax the bum down. So when we relax the bum down, we get into our QLs, and that's the muscle we work constantly when we're sitting down. So the muscle that's kind of holding us up here, obviously we've got our core, but huge amount of effort is worked through your QLs, right? So we want to make sure we get into them by relaxing the hips down and then going all the way up just below your ribs and then back down, okay? So you can go up on top of the ribs a little bit, but again, we're just trying to focus on the QLs here, all the way down. So you do 4 nice and slow, do 4 the opposite side, again tilt to the opposite side. Once you've done that then, you can go to the thoracic, so the mid part of your spine. I'd recommend, instead of rolling this part, you can roll it, so it's just lifting the hips up and rolling them down. I would do more mobility, so trying to open up the rib cage, open up the vertebrae by keeping the bum on the ground, elbows in nice and tight, hands behind your neck, and then try bring your shoulders down to the ground and just open it up. And that will start to mobilise the vertebrae. So I'd always start off doing some soft tissue on the lower back, then going into some mobility in the middle part of the spine. So maybe sometimes I'll foam roll, lifting the hips up. And the last part then is I want you to imagine then you have another square from the shoulders all the way down to the middle part, just under your lat, and then halfway across. So you're going to lift your hips off the ground for this one. You're going to hug yourself. You're going to tilt over to the left, which will round your shoulders. When you hook yourself, it'll round your shoulders, bring the muscles out so you can really get into them. And you're going to roll all the way up, top of the shoulder, into the trap, all the way down below the armpit. And again, depending on how much you neglect your posterior chain, you know, we work the mirror muscles, the muscles that we see a lot, and we neglect these. So really get into the back. 2 other areas that we don't really go after in terms of soft tissue that we should, again because we probably work and overuse them, is the pec. So you're going to lie down, lie on your pec, and this one you're going to have to mess around with until you feel it. So find the angle for it that suits you to really feel it. So it's between the shoulder blade and the pec. There's a little bit of a dip there. That's where you want this, and then you're going to pin it. So you're going to have your muscle on top of your shoulder on top of the roller, and you're going to pin it, and you're going to move the arm out in front and back. Again, depending on how much you're sitting down, how much you're in this rounded position throughout your day, that should be quite tight. Last one then we're going to do is your lat. So this one's really sore, so just, you know, find what way suits you in terms of putting the weight force on it. You're going to turn it at an angle. If my body was straight here, you're going to basically have the roller under your armpit. So if you start off lateral and then just pull it down, that's the angle we want. From there, you can bring the leg across and lift the body up, and you're going to roll. It's only a small movement, and all the way back down. So again, it's quite a sore area in there. So just make sure you get after these areas that are really tight, because it's giving you feedback that you need to go after them. This mobility for the shoulder, the posterior chain, all the way down the back, glutes into the hamstrings, and we're also going to do thoracic mobility as well. So really quickly, we're going to start off with shoulder mobility. So get to a wall. The objective is to try to get as close to the wall as possible while doing the movement. The movement, you want to have, first of all, the outside arm up to shoulder height. Squeeze your fist. And this is going to give you a little kind of a measurement feedback tool. And then you're going to bring the arm up along the wall, thumb going back, bicep to the ear. Once you get as high as you can, then you swap. You go baby finger, going backwards, bring it all the way around, and then back to the start, okay? Now, what you're looking out for here is when you bring that arm up, when you twist, this is where it's going to affect your mobility. So this arm, this is why we have this out in front, this is going to start to drift in if you have poor mobility. So look, there's my mobility. but eventually as the weeks go on, I want to try keep that arm straight while mobilizing that shoulder joint. Now, if that's too tough and you're moving that arm too much, recommend just step out from the wall a tiny bit and you should be able to do it a little bit better, okay? So again, keep that up, that arm up to shoulder height, thumb going back, rotate, bring it around. 10 each arm. As the weeks go on, try it close to the wall. Next exercise we're gonna do is egg rolls. So you're gonna lie down on the ground. We're gonna start off bringing the legs over the head, nice and slow as you come back over, vertebrae at a time, opening up the vertebrae, your spine basically, and falling forward, touching your toes. So, legs behind the head, pull all the way through your legs, stretch that back, slowly, vertebrae at a time, sit up. Feet go shoulder width apart, toes slightly pointed in, reach forward as far as you can and touch your toes. So again, legs behind your head, touch the ground if you can with your toes, slowly come back over, feet shoulder width apart, touch your toes. And lastly, deep squat. So I'll do it this way, hands in the air, I want you to touch your toes, then I want you to go into your squat position. Make sure your feet is flat, so if you can't get your feet flat in this position, bring your feet out wider. You'll see my back slightly rounded. I want you to push the elbows into the knees, or push the knees out, and then I want you to lift that chest up as much as you can. From there, I want you to push whatever elbow you want into the knee and rotate around all the way up to the ceiling. Hold, slowly drop down. Do the opposite side, slowly drop down. Fingers then go underneath your toes. You lift your hips up, head goes down. Hold it for about 10 seconds. Drop back down, rotate, rotate, and you're gonna do about 10 reps in that one, okay? So just to recap the exercises, mobility against the wall, 10 each side. Egg rolls, 10 all together, nice and slow. And then you're gonna do your deep squat, rotate, rotate, 10 reps all together. This is bracing part 3. So if you've mastered the dead bugs, you've advanced then on to the carries, you can start to now do band work, okay? So the principles are the same. We're trying to work from the knees all the way up to the shoulders, very kinetic movements. The reason behind it is obviously that we can train the brain to activate automatically from doing exercises here in the gym, transferring onto the pitch. So we're going to do Pallof press first. So band to the sternum. That's going to create resistance on, and it's going to basically activate the muscles, which would prevent you from letting that go. So once you pull that forward, you're starting to activate muscles. Then I want you to do is squat down, bend the hips back, push the hips back, push the band out, slowly bring it back in. So again, this is this nice strong bracing position so that that transfers onto the pitch. If you want to make it harder, you can go into that position, you can lift one leg up, push out, pull back in, you can stand tall, credit card to the heel, lift that full up, leg up to hip height, push out, so it's like speed mechanics. So that when you're at full speed, that if somebody hits you off the ball, that you're nice and strong. So you can do a load of different variations of Pallof press. You can do chops, you can do rotations, you can actually let it go in and come back out. But just mess around it. I would say start off with the basic Pallof press and then go unilateral, using one in, pushing it in. This is a wall drill for absolute speed. So we're going to break down the angles that we want to create when we're looking at absolute speed. Be careful not to confuse acceleration and speed. They're two different things. So when you are, let's say, the first 5, 6, 7 meters, your angles are like this. And as you go on in terms of that distance, you start to become upright and you start working on your speed mechanics. So that's what we're going to break down here in terms of our wall drill. So what I want you to do, arm's length away from the wall. I want you to go on the leg that's nearest to the wall, go on the ball of the foot, credit card through the heel, as always. And the outside leg, I want you to first of all bring your heel to the inside of the middle of the foot that's nearest to the wall. So heel, toe, they're the first two, heel, toe, and I want you to make a figure 4. So if you can see the angle that we're creating here, it's like a number 4. So my calf is touching off the knee and the opposite leg. So I'm up nice and tall. So that's the figure 4. And the last one is I want you to pull that toe forward and get into that recovery position. So really quickly again, heel, toe, figure 4, recovery. And as you're doing it, say them 4 things. So up nice and tall, heel, toe, figure 4, recovery. Heel, toe, figure 4, recovery. And eventually you can make it into a cycle in motion. And that's the way we want the angles to be created for speed, for absolute speed. It's like a piston. Up nice and tall, push, back, push, back, push, back.